Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. This today is a really fun tag, and I'm so excited to do this. I had so much fun pulling out decks and preparing all these cards. I want to acknowledge Julie at Peekaboorose for just doing this amazing tag. And for those of you that have watched me before or have worked with me, I love making spreadsheets, and I had a lot of fun as I came up with my own categories for this tag. And I encourage you, as you're watching the video today, to get a pen and paper and to start to think about how you would do this video, even if you're not doing this video, because I think it's a really, it's an important criteria. You know, sometimes we're not discriminating enough when we purchase decks, and it really is. I know as I'm moving forward, I'm trying my darndest to make sure that I don't purchase a deck I'm not going to use. Or if I don't have a specific intention for it, you know, like I really want to be more conscious of this. Okay, so I'm just checking everything looks good on YouTube. Sound is good. So here we go. Hello, Patrice, Dion, Jen. That's awesome you guys are here. I am not sure how I'm going to do this because I have a spreadsheet and I want to be able to see the comments, and it's ginormous. So maybe I'll hide it down here. Andrea Dawn, hello. Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you for that feedback. I really appreciate it. You know, I had a reading today with somebody who doesn't comment in the chat, but she follows me on YouTube. And you know, there's a lot of people that watch in the background and don't come into the chat. And so I want to say hello to everybody who's in the background, those of you that don't have a YouTube account and don't come into the chat. And I encourage you, you know, you don't have to make content. You can still create an account and then participate in the conversation because it's fun. It's really fun to be there and to participate in that way. Anyway, so let's get to the cards because that's what you guys want to see. And hello, Darcy. I will do my best to go back and forth between all of that. So I'm going to try to keep this to an hour, but we'll see how that goes. And you let me know at any point if you've seen too many cards. And I don't know if that's possible, but let me know. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start with the whole package. When a deck has a beautiful box, so for me, that means it's a small box. I do not like big boxes, even if they're beautiful. Because for storage, it's so nice for me if I can keep them in a small box. I like to have the cards. I like to be able to move the cards around and have the cards accessible, so a small box. I like it if the paper quality matches the energy of the deck, and I'll explain that more in a little bit. And then for me, if the cards are gilded, if there's edging on the cards, it needs to make sense. And I am going to be kind of mixing up the delights and the deterrents in some of the same conversations. So I'm going to give you examples of both as I go along. But I have a few decks here that have an amazing complete package. And these are absolute delights. When I open these boxes, when I go to these decks, there is something about the entire package that is just fantastic. So Rebecca Lafave has 3 decks boxed like this, and they are all nature inspired inspiration cards, and the quality of the box is amazing. They store beautifully. But the thing about this deck and these decks is that the watercolor paper, the unfinished paper, matches the energy of the, well, in this case, the fauna. So this is the plant deck, but there's, sorry, this is the animal deck, but there's also a plant deck and another, the Fantastic Beast deck as well too. And so it makes sense that she chose this paper as a nature-inspired series, and the experience in shuffling the cards is so beautiful. Like I can riffle shuffle them, and the way that they sound and they feel is just fantastic. So my first category is the whole package. And as I was going through, not my whole collection, but several, I came up with 3 other decks that I really feel have the whole package. Some I haven't shared. One is this one. So the Living Wheel Astrology Cards by Patrick Fogarty. Look at the inside of this box. It's just a pleasure to look at these cards. Now, this is a deck that has gilding, matte gold gilding, but I'm going to say but, because a lot of the time I don't really appreciate the gilding. It matches the energy of the deck. So we have with the constellations, and also on the card backs, we have this gold, and it's so beautifully done. It's such a pleasure to use these cards. And I use these cards when if I do a moon cycle reading, or yeah, there's just so much. It's just such a pleasure to open this pack of cards. And even the ones that are, so for the seasons, there's a couple of cards for each season. So one for the beginning and one for the end of each season. And they just make so much sense. They're so beautiful. So this is a complete, like the whole deal. It's the full, the full meal deal. You get an amazing package. Another one is this one, the Aurum Lenormand. And again, you have a beautiful box that fits the cards perfectly. The little white book fits in the little box. The cardstock is amazing, and it does have gold gilding, and the gold gilding matches the cards because there is a thread of gold that runs through the cards. And these cards, when you lay them out in a grand tableau or in a 9 card, they just look fantastic. And it's almost like the threads of gold tell their own little story. So this is a full package deal. And the last one in this category that that I thought really fits this well is a deck for wonder walking. This box is so lovely. It feels so good. Again, it's one of these beautiful magnetic boxes that is a pleasure to look at the box and to hold. It's absolutely gorgeous. The card backs make sense. There is no edging. It doesn't need to be edged. It's a deck that's connected to nature, and it would make no sense to have gold on the edge of the cards. And if you know me, I have a lot of watercolor decks in my collection. This is one of them. And yeah, I love this artwork. And so this, for me, this deck checks off so many boxes. So I want to give you an example of, I'm going to say hi to you. I see Audrey's here. Sebo is here. Welcome. Darcy, did I say hello to you? So hi to everybody that's coming in. So here's an example, and I'm going to talk about the delights about this deck later. And I've got some cards separated out. So this is a recent deck to my collection from this year. This is the Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot. To me, even though this red shiny edging is fun, it doesn't make sense. This is an earth-centric pagan deck. And though the red plasticky edges, they don't seem to be in alignment with the energy of the deck. The color matches, but to me, I want to feel the rawness of the paper. Or maybe if they were black, but it doesn't go together. Here's another deck where I think the gilding is completely unnecessary, and I'm going to say good things about this deck. This is the Sasaribito. The Sasaribito does not need or suit gold edges. It doesn't match the energy of the deck. And so for me, the whole package is the whole experience, right? So the paper and the riffleability and the everything kind of makes sense and fits together. So that's what I mean by the whole package. Axe. So that is a greeting. Is that the greeting that means hello? I don't know that that word. I'm assuming it means hello. Okay. And just so you know, I'm going to be behind. Oh, how can I move this? Oh yeah, Patrice. Okay. So some of you are in agreement. People are adding gilding just because they can these days, says Kirsten. Oh, hello, Kirsten. Yeah, and to me, the gilding needs to make sense. And so often it doesn't, and I can probably pull out other ones. Ooh, here's another one where it does make sense. Okay, so this one I just did a video of. This is the Star Seeker Tarot. And the Star Seeker Tarot has a matte lavender gilding. And the cards, the color palette, I'll see if I can fan these out. The color palette of this deck, how can I do this? The color palette of this deck matches the back of the cards, matches the matte purple edges on the side. So in this case, in this deck, sorry, this is another one that fits in that category. It makes perfect sense, and it's complementary to the whole package. And so, yay, good job with the edging. Okay, so next one. Another delight is court cards that are done right. And I have several decks here that have court cards that are done right. I love it when the court cards have a personality. There's nothing worse to me when you look at court cards and there's no expression on the face, or they're just sitting on their throne doing nothing. I really like it when there is not animation. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, they're animated, right? They have a personality. Like in the Sasaribito, these pages are so good. And I love this King of Cups. You know, you can just really feel the personality. Here's another page. This is the Page of Cups. She's got a key in her hand. So court cards that really speak. Like here is the King of Fire in the Tarot of the She. You know, like you get that. There's no getting away from understanding what that means. Here's the King of Air in Tarot of the She. So well done. And here's the Warrior, the Fire Fire Princess. So Princess, Page of Fire. It's just such a delight when the court cards are easy to read because they have a personality. And the Pagan Otherworlds, I think, does a really good job with their court cards as well too. There's something about the costumes too. And I think of in the Robin Wood Tarot, which I've shown a few times on my channel, my first deck, one of the things I loved about that was the costumes. The costumes are such an important part of the deck. And yeah, so that attention to the court cards is really important. Another deck that does that really well for most of the cards is the Slow Tarot. This is the Page of Coins. She's got a lemonade stand. This is the Page of Swords. Yeah, so I really appreciate well done. Oh, I love this one too. Page of Wands. Yeah, okay, and I'll show you one motorcycle guy because these motorcycle guys have been haunting me this year. It's been a year of it's kind of an inside joke if you have been watching my channel. Yeah. So let me know what you think about these things so far. I'm sure you're chatting away here. I need to just check in with all of that. Audrey says, I think there are court cards where there is no personality. Ooh, like what about the Queen of Swords and the Druidcraft? Like she's got attitude, you know, and the other thing too is that it's nice if you can see the edge and the softness. So when I was thinking about that Queen of Swords in the Robin Wood, she is super powerful and strong, but you can also see her softness through the flow of her cape. And I really like that in a tarot deck. It makes me happy when cards are not 100% to the shadow or 100% to the light. I like it when it's easy to read the card in both directions. Oh, thanks. Thank you for that, Sable. And the Moon Chariot. Okay, that's so awesome. There's so many languages I would love to learn how to speak. Wouldn't it be great to be a polyglot? No, polyglot. Is that the right word? I don't know if I need to know 12 or 13 languages, but to have more languages under my belt would be such a joy. I really enjoy it. And I'm so sorry if I botch up your language. If I'm ever reading some foreign language and I just don't say it because I really do care about that. All right, so the next one is the minimally illustrated pips. There are some decks that do that so well. You see, for me, the trouble is when pips are overly illustrated, the scene is determined. And I think of a deck, for example, like Everyday Enchantment Tarot. And it takes you into a very specific scene, a very specific situation. And it's hard. It's hard to get out of that. It's hard to read it differently. And so what delights me, this is the Lily White Tarot, is when you can get that full amount of information without without having too much, without having too specific of information. I hope that makes sense. And this deck does this so well. So for example, here is the Ace of Pentacles. And then the Ace of Pentacles becomes fully realized. This is the 10, right? It's just so well done. And this one, I'll show you one more. This is the Nesting Cups. This is the 6 of Cups. And I just think it's right here. You don't need a human clutching to all their stuff. We just have a snake and 4 coins in the center. It's very well done. Okay. Do I have other examples here? Minimally illustrated pips. Yes. So Pagan Otherworlds does that really well too, because this deck has little bits of, like, for here, so here we have the ribbons, and within the minimally illustrated pips, there is sufficient information. You know, we don't need a specific scene. So this really, it really excites me. Like, I love this 3 of Wands. We don't need anything else. Very well done. Very well done. I'm sure there's others. I'll show you others as they come up. I've got quite a few decks all over the table in front of me. If you have a question for me, please put it in caps, or also you can tag me. Nice. Okay. All right. So next one. So I said whole package, court cards done right, minimally illustrated pips. The next one is makes me feel something. Makes me feel something. And I which ones did I put in this category here? When I look at cards, I want to connect with it energetically. I want to, and I was talking about this a little bit in the court cards. So for example, when I opened the Primordial Tarot the other day, and I had no idea how I was going to react to this deck because it's such a different deck. And this is exactly why I'm so excited to work with it, is because it makes me feel something. Like, it makes me want to connect with it. And it has an edge to it that makes me curious, and there's just so much heart in this deck. You know what this deck reminds me of? A little bit of the Weaver's Oracle. And I think it would be really cool to do like a 4-card or an 8-card with a Weaver in the middle or something. I just feel like they would be able to communicate well to each other. Like, look at this. It's full of life. And even this devil, like, I want to get to know this devil here. I think that is, oh, here's another one. I don't know. I want to feel when I see a deck. And I showed you a few cards in the Tarot of the She already, but this is another deck that makes me feel something. It makes me, and it doesn't have to be a happy feeling. It just needs to, do you know what I mean? Like, when you look at the cards, you immediately have a visceral reaction. And I like that. I like that a lot. It really does delight me. Audrey, here we go. So this is dust to onyx. So when I look at this 10 of staffs, so this 10 of wands, I feel like, I don't know what keyword you feel here, but I feel like enough. It's like enough. That's a word. There's something, yeah, I also wanted to say something about something different about this card as well too. I'm going to put that one to the side. Right? And the emerging one, there's just this beautiful energy coming from this card. And I feel so deeply. I've put this, and I think the court cards are a perfect example in Dust to Onyx, where they really make you feel something. They have an amazing energy. I love this Ace of Fire. This is I just got this deck actually, so I haven't started to work with it. I'm slowly, and there's a couple other, I'm going to pull this one out in a couple of other categories as well too. So, oh, and so that is one of Bone Stone's strengths as well too, is that it makes me feel something. And perhaps the court cards as well too. It's like, here's the Queen of Swords. Like, I really understand her energy. Here's the Page of Cups. This is the Knight of Swords. There's just so much you can pick up on in these personalities here. Right? And like the energy, the feelings here are just, this is a 6 of water. So well done. So well done. Okay, so I have a couple other things to say about that deck as well too. Right? So some decks check off in multiple delight categories. My next delight is, so I have there's a couple things that make me happy. One is, if a deck creator chooses to switch up the meaning, so if they do it differently, I want to see it done well. Do you understand what I'm saying? If they do it differently, it needs to be done well. So the 8 of Cups is, this is a Sasrabido. And when I saw this card, again, visceral reaction, but it's done so well. You know how sometimes deck creators do it differently and it's not done well. And so when it's done differently and done well, that makes me feel, I really like that. I really like it when they switch up the Fool, like the Fool being an old guy. And I love this 6 of Swords. It gets the meaning through in a different way. It's clever. It's really clever. Another card I wanted to share with you from Tarot, she is the 10 of Swords, and it's done so, I don't know, I just think it's perfect. So the sword is piercing the third eye chakra, and the energy behind piercing the third eye chakra and all that means is just so potent and powerful. Yeah. You know, like, if you switch it up, don't mess it up. Like be clever about it. And so the other category, which is very, I guess it's the same, maybe it's the same thing, different. And so I like it when deck creators are clever. And going back to the Lily White, this Tower card. So this is an elk, perhaps, that has shed its antlers. And so the elk is in the forest fire, I'm assuming, shed its antlers and is standing there completely vulnerable. This is the Tower. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I love it when there's this cleverness to it. And the cleverness doesn't create confusion. If you read the Little White Book, so you don't understand, you go to the Little White Book, you read it and you go, ah, okay, whoa, that's super smart. That's really clever. Love it, love it, love it. So in the slow, Lacey Bryant has done this in many, many cards, and this is the one that makes me smile so much. So the Knight of Cups is riding a hippocampus. So riding the mythological creature, the hippocampus, but the fact that the hippocampus in the brain is involved with emotions and so deeply connected to our choices and things with the Knight of Cups energy. It's just super clever. Super clever. Oh, that's a sweet thing to say. Sabo says, don't worry about languages. We speak archetype. Yeah, we speak archetypal languages. Audrey says, I feel as though that deck is not to be taken lightly. It's one that I think asks you to be really intentional before using it. Audrey, can you just tell me what deck that is, please? I'm reading the comment after I had the cards. Sorry. Hello, Jonathan. Aloha. Sometimes I get behind with the chat and I don't know what deck you're referring to. So let me know which deck you're talking about. And then I will go to my next delight category. Hi to everybody that's coming in. Okay, so I will respond to Audrey. I'll remember to come back to that. The next one is, I wrote down Amazing Aces. Amazing Aces. Amazing Aces. Ace of Cups. That's Bone Zone, by the way. Ace of Pentacles. I already showed you the Ace of Pentacles in the Lily White, which is absolutely amazing. I think even Deviant Moon, I think the aces are not only clever, but they're amazing. Let me take off the banner so you can see more of the cards. Oops, what did I do? There we go. Yeah. Deviant Moon has this I love this Ace of Pentacles. And I chose a few cards too, also in the cleverness category in the Deviant Moon. Like, this card makes me laugh. You know, the swiftness of the scythe. Yeah, this is good. And also we've got the messenger message up there as well too. So there's something very clever about this deck. And you know what I like about this card? I like that decisions, the choice in moving forward is emanating from the belly. It's emanating from this very important part of our chakra system. And I don't know, there's so much cleverness in this deck. This card is particularly clever. So yeah, cleverness. Here's a few more examples of when it's done differently and done very, very well. Hey there, Scarlett. I was going to... Did Audrey reply? Oh, Dust to Onyx. Yes. I'm definitely going to be taking my time with that deck. So how many of you have watched the TV series Merlin? You know, when they, for those of you that have, you know, when they take Guinevere, they take Gwen to the cauldron to heal her of the spell that has been cast by Morgana. This is what this reminds me of. The healing waters. This is the Four of Swords. And so this is another example of do it differently and do it well. I've talked about this card a few times on my channel. This is the Three of Swords. Love this variation on the 10 of Wands. And this one. And the Fool. Oh man, there's so many I could share with you in this deck. So there are some cards in this deck that I do not like. And I haven't really talked about that. But tonight I'm talking about delights. Absolutely delighted with this shift in this death card. Love it. Feels like an incredible transformation. Okay, so next, ready for the next delight. Whole package, court cards done well, minimally illustrated pips makes me feel something. If it's done differently, it's done well. And I put cleverness in a separate category, but it's kind of the same thing. Amazing aces. The next one is if there are keywords and the keywords are done well, that gives me delight. And I only have 2 decks where I feel the keywords actually enhance. I don't have a lot of tarot decks with keywords. And I'm talking tarot decks here because generally speaking, most oracle decks do that pretty well. But as far as tarot decks, Tarot of the She, and also 5 cent. I think, now I know this isn't true for everybody, but my experience with the 5 cent is that even though the cards are very, very busy, what tends to happen with this deck is that the keyword that I need to see pops off the page. And the cleverness in this deck is that we've got, I don't know, it's very well done. And so if a deck creator is going to use keywords and they're done well, that makes me happy, or that delights me. So that was the tag, delights and deterrents. And I have one more. Oh, I'll actually have 2 more. So the other, my last 2 delights are, one is that it transports me to another place and time, but it needs to stay within the framework of the tarot. So I don't want to be transported to another place or time and then have to go to the guidebook for every single card because I don't understand where you've gone. So yes, I love it. I love to be transported to another place or time, but it has to fit within the framework of the tarot. So I have a couple that I want to share with you. One is the Llewellyn. This deck makes me so happy. I just love being in this world of the Llewellyn in Wales. And even though I haven't memorized every legend of the major arcana, I can still read this deck easily. I have trimmed everything off this deck. I have 2 copies of this deck. One is completely trimmed and one is not. So the other one that I've got another couple here I want to show you. So the other deck that I was thinking of, and I suppose most Il Meninghello decks do this. This one is Soprafino Tarocco Soprafino. Well, this one also has amazing aces. This is the Sun card. And I just feel like I'm in another place. And there's no baby riding a horse, but I still get the energy of the sun, and I get to go to another place and time. And I love the aces, which was one of my other categories. I love that about the Soprafino. There are a few cards, and I think it has to do with the fabrics. I thought I sorted that out. Oh, here's another favorite ace. Why do I have this one out? Oh, I didn't write this one down. Okay. Here's another little bit of cleverness that I like. This is, again, Pagan Otherworlds. So look at this card. You see the archway, the rocks, and then you can see that same archway here. And then there's a piece of that archway here. And then there's another archway here of rocks. So a thing I like that makes me really excited in a deck is when the design or the symbols, and these are unrelated suits. These are cups, pentacles, and a major that I've shown you, that those aspects help to create a story. And so those rocks or those mountains or those archways tell a story. And I love that when a deck uses symbol in that way. That's also an aspect of cleverness. Here's another bit of cleverness. This is the Anna K. Lenormand. And instead of using a cross, this is the cross card, we've got the cross in shadow. So super clever. Instead of using an actual ring, we have a ring connecting 2 sails on a ship. Right? Cleverness. And here's something else that delights me about this deck. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it. So, okay. Do you see the borders on this deck? Every single card, the artwork spills onto the borders, like the leaf at the bottom. And then the titles are so subtle. And the borders are there for the titles. But I just love how the artwork spills over the borders. It's beautiful and clever. Love cards. The original Madame Clara Tarot had the poetry on the cards. Ah, good to know. I am looking forward to getting my 2 cents. So my 2 cent oracle should be coming soon. It's good to know. Okay, so Moon Chariot, we will not consider us being ignored. Alrighty. So now I'm going to go to deterrents. And before I talk about deterrents, I would like to say that these are not deal breakers. And in no way am I knocking the deck creator. I haven't made a deck, but I can only imagine the work, the thought, the energy that is put into the creation of a deck, the blood, sweat, and tears, quite literally. And so the deterrents are just a commentary on things that I like and things that I don't like. So here are a few of my deterrents. One is that I don't like decks. I can't. Did you hear me in the video the other day? I said ruffle, shuffle. I don't like decks. I cannot riffle, shuffle. So here's an example. This is the indie version of the Anna K Tarot, which I love. It's smaller than the mass market version. But because the deck is smaller, sorry, how do you say this? When a deck gets smaller, the cardstock needs to get thinner. You can't use the same quality of cardstock with a smaller deck because then you can't riffle, shuffle it. You have to overhand shuffle it. So even if I take the deck in half, right, I can barely bend it. So I don't like that. Another deck that I use all the time that I can't riffle shuffle and it drives me crazy is the what's it called? This is the Alchemist Oracle deck. Yeah, the cardstock is just and same with the tarot deck. The cardstock is just too thick. Another one that drives me mental is textured tarot. Hate the cardstock, love the deck. So again, deterrent, not deal breaker. I did really write a lot of categories down here. Oh my goodness. So another one that kind of bothers me, and you know, when I work with clients and students, when we look at something and it bothers us, it's a mirror, right? It's a reflection. Why does it bother us? So we don't see ourselves represented in a deck, or we see an image that offends us. I really believe there's a process. There's a process to trying to understand what it is that is offending us. And for me, there's a couple of things. And one is that I like to see diversity in body shapes and sizes. So a deterrent is a deck that has everybody of the same shape and size. So a lot of people knock body beautiful decks, and I have a couple of them in my collection. And I use them both. I think I have two. I use both of them because there's something else about the deck that I love. But it's not, if I was ever designing a deck, I would be mindful of that. And on the other end of the spectrum, as far as body shape and size goes, I have another deck where everybody in the deck is chubby. And so I want to see a deck where we have chubby people, we have full-figured people, and we also have slim people. I want to see the whole spectrum represented. The same thing with age. And I know I watched a couple of your videos. They were amazing. So thank you. So when age is not represented well, so if we have kings and queens who are 20 years old, it's very hard to pull out the energy of that particular card. And yeah, I know their history. There have been young kings and queens. Also, if there is, yeah, so it's nice to see a balance of ages. And some of these decks do it really well. The Slow Tarot does it excellently. And it is a deterrent if I look at a deck and everybody is of a certain age. And I have a couple of Oracle decks that are just full of young people. And they're perfect for my 20-year-old daughters, but not for me. So it really depends on your, I guess, where you're at in your life. So those two things are important to me. And I suppose I should address skin color as well too. And for me, I have really been enjoying working with, more recently, well, just starting to, the Dust to Onyx. And not too long ago, I got the Afro Tarot in my collection. And I believe Courtney Alexander in the guidebook of Dust to Onyx says, she addresses the fact, well, yes, we need to remember that the color of a person's skin, their soul isn't, their soul is colorless. Those aren't her words, but energy, the soul transcends the color of the skin. But in our three-dimensional reality, it is a reality. And so if I were to build a deck around where I live in Canada, I would want to see a deck that had more Chinese and Japanese and Vietnamese, more Indo-Canadian people. And I've never seen a deck that had a good variety of Asian cultures in it. The only one perhaps is the Sasarai Bito, and that's because the creator, Stacia Burrington, is, I believe, half Japanese, or has Japanese in her lineage. And I know for a lot of people, it's important to that, right? So we talk about people of color, but let's get more people of color. The only deck that and also what about the Aboriginal people? Other than my one deck, I believe, Vision Quest. No, Stacia Burrington does it too. She has some, actually she does. I believe there's one card that has an Aboriginal, I think it's the Nine of Pentacles actually. So she does actually a pretty good job with that. There might be more than one card. So it's not just about Black representation. It's about all people of color. And when a deck is all white, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. Even in my very white demographic community, it's nice to see a variety because it is a reality. So yeah. I'm not sure how I started on that, but I was just saying that a deterrent is a lack of diversity in a deck. Diversity in many things. Okay, so where are we at with the chat? Welcome back, Jonathan. Andrea Dawn. Oh yeah, Andrea's talking about the new SKT Tarot. So in the new edition, she has made some beautiful changes, and I showed some of those images in the top 10 decks of all time video, and I'm really excited. Hoping to get a copy of that deck. Paper Moon. Hello, Paper Moon. I don't think I said hello to you. Paper Moon has a really good comment. I hate old kings with really young queens. That's a really good point. Good to know. Many Queens by Letty Jane is a great diverse deck, probably the best I've seen. I will write that down. Thank you for that. Spirit Keepers Tarot. Yeah, Spirit Keepers. Oh, this deck. Okay, so one of the decks, so New Era Elements has Pacific Island cultures for one, and then it has kind of old, yeah. So each of the courts has a different culture. So there's a few decks that have really made an effort to mix the ethnic diversity in the deck for sure. Ancestral Path is another great one for sure. You're going to buy a second Spirit Keepers, are you, Andrea Dawn? Wow. And I suppose nobody mentioned this deck. So the Numinist does an amazing job of ethnic diversity, gender diversity, body type diversity. The only deck that I was going to say, maybe I'm wrong. No, also the Oracle deck does a really good job of that as well too. So I was thinking about physical disability. And I believe it is in the Threadbound Oracle where the wheelchair actually is a motorized wheelchair. The only deck that I know that represents mental disability or has any figures with Down syndrome is Poppy Palin's deck, Everyday Enchantment Tarot. So that's something that's definitely underrated in the tarot. But this deck does such an amazing job with that. Yeah. This is a deck that did not need the gold on the side. That's another example of that. Seriously. So here is something to another delight. I didn't mention this. This is the Yonasa Yaus Tarot. And what I find delightful about this deck is that because it is Tarot de Marseille style, it is the shape of the card is more of a Tarot de Marseille, which is a smaller card, narrower and longer. So I think that's pretty sweet. And I edged this one myself because I thought it needed to be purple. Okay, so any more deterrents? Let me see. There's a question here. Fifth Spirit. I have not seen Fifth Spirit. For disabilities, POC, gender neutral, it's pretty exceptional. Okay, so those are a couple of decks I need to write down. I'm going to go back through the comments and write this down because there's been some really good deck suggestions. And I think my final deck deterrent is photorealism. Photorealism. I really, really don't like it. Sometimes it's for example, in the Gaian Tarot, there are a few cards that look like a tarot. I like the Gaian Tarot. I like it. I don't love it. There's a few cards that I love. I can think of like in the Suit of Water. I especially like the Suit of Water. But it feels like I'm just looking at a collection of photographs. And I understand the meaning behind the cards. I think the court cards are amazing. But there's something about photorealism that is really off-putting to me. And I know decks like the Thelema and the Arcanum, even Moonchild, I have a really hard time with the photorealism. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I really prefer to feel the brush, to feel the energy of the ink, of the pen, of the artist's brush. I I so much that gives me so much more delight than the photorealism, whether it's collaged or whether it's complete photographs. Either way, it's not my preference at all. So yeah, so those are some things, some thoughts that there's a few artists that have done it a fairly good job of it. And we were just looking at um, Dust to Onyx, which is based on real faces, but it's blended so beautifully. So that's definitely an exception. And there's a couple of cards I can think of in the Gaian Tarot that are very well done, particularly a few of the court cards. Some of the court cards I can't stand. They just irk me the wrong way. So that's one thing that I don't like. So yeah, so do you have any other Paper Moon is talking about Tarot des Zoar. Yes, I love that deck. And you just really feel the brush, don't you? Like I don't have it on the table here, but that's a deck that is just, you really get that. Jen, yes, and I know, Jen, you do like the Thelema Tarot. You talked about that. You said it reminds you of your grandmother or something. And so it's a personal preference. So that's my personal preference. And we all can't like and don't like the same things. And so aren't you glad we have thousands and thousands of decks to choose from? I mean, wow, we are so lucky that we have such a wide selection of cards available to work with. Spinning Dancer, hi. I'm just like reading your comment right now. Yes, I have a good memory. Sometimes that's not a good thing, Jen. Yeah. So I'm going to continue to keep an eye on this tag because I think it's a really good tag. And the thing about this tag that I like is that it only helps me, to become more discriminating in our consumerism. And when we have 10, 12, 14, I don't know, how many decks do you have in your wish list, your Amazon wish list, for example? Maybe go back through your Amazon wish list and see how many of the delight boxes or the deterrent boxes are checked off. As we move into greater awareness with wasted resources and things like that. And also the cost. Money is a resource, right? Money is energy. And there's nothing worse than purchasing a deck, cracking it open and going, oh, why did I buy that? I mean, sometimes the only exception for me is if I'm supporting a creator who I'm just supporting to support the creator. And I have done that in a couple of occasions, and I didn't really care for the deck, but I wanted to give a piece of my heart and a piece of my energy to the creator to support their project. But for the most part, I'm doing my best to kind of not purchase decks every month. Let's just say it that way. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you all for being here today. Oh, you meant in VR. Okay, good. Now I understand. Oh, Paper Moon has a, okay, this is cool. Oh, okay. So I'm going to read Pepper Moon's comment 1 second. There was an Oracle deck that I recently backed that I was humming and hawing about. And the reason I supported it was for their environmental project, not for the deck. So that's what I mean. Like sometimes there's another reason to support the deck other than the deck itself. And so your energy goes into their whatever their cause is. And Paper Moon says the gentle tarot because she's planting a tree for each deck. That's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Paper Moon. You're moving into the Hanged Man. Which what is your card for next year? And how do you see that? So next year, 2021, so it's a 5-year. So, right, so fives, the energy of the five. So next year will continue probably to be quite challenging for many people, being a 5-year. 5 does not only have, of course, negative energy. There are other numerological associations with the number 5 as well too, especially with the strength and energy and the magic of the pentacle. We can look to that. But 5s, generally speaking, are not an easy number. And then how does your card of the year kind of jive with the 5? And how are you, so how do you feel about that? And I think that's a really good conversation. It'd be so nice if we could have a Zoom chat with a bunch of us. I would love to do that. If anybody would like to have a tarot chat where we just get together and pick a topic, I think it would be so much fun. I would love to have a glass of wine or a beer or a cup of coffee with all of you and just share some stuff and hear your voices and see your faces. It would be really special. I know I've seen many of your faces because I've done readings for you, but some of you have never seen your face. So it would be an honor. It would be an honor to do that. And Sabo's trying to limit 1 deck per month. Yes, you were saying that you don't have as much of an option in Brazil. And you like the fountain. Good to know. Yeah, it would be cool to do that. So what I want to share with you is that I'm creating a Facebook group in connection with my integrative healing with Sadhana. And the Facebook group is going to have more it's easy for me to post content regularly, little bits of content here and there, and not so many videos and things. And so I'm actually excited about this. And so I want to hear your feedback. This is really good. I want to ask your feedback. So I've always wanted to have an actual space and have a sign over the door that said the healing room. And so I was thinking that the Facebook group could be called Sadhana's Healing Room. And then in yoga, we use the term yoga shala. So I was thinking about Sadhana's Healing Shala was another idea. And then one, I think it was Sunny, suggested Sadhana's Sadhana. So Sadhana means one's practice and the things one does to work through on one's spiritual journey. So she thought that the group should be called Sadhana's Sadhana. So let me know if you have any ideas for my Facebook group about what the Facebook group should be called. yeah, I would appreciate any input you have there. And it's going to be happening very, very soon. This year. It's going to start this year. And I guess I should launch it on the new moon. So it'll be up and ready then, and I'll put the link everywhere so anybody who wants to join the group can join it. It's not just going to be tarot. It's going to have some yoga stuff in it, crystal stuff. It's going to have, I was thinking of having a book study maybe, or a little bit of like some actual study components to it where we could work together and learn together. Yeah, I've got so many ideas. I have enough posts planned for probably 3 years. So there's going to be lots of good things. So let me know. Anybody posted an idea? And we could do the virtual meetup, like have our conversations and our planning in the Facebook group. Jen says, I love all 3 of those. I couldn't pick one. Integrative conversations. Oh, hello there, Andrew. Did you just pop in? I haven't seen you. Sadhana or Sadhana Shala. Dion likes Sadhana's healing room. Sadhana's healing practice. Sadhana's healing space. Wine with Sadhana. Anna doesn't use Facebook much. Sadhana's sanctuary. Ooh, that has a nice alliteration to it, doesn't it? Oh, Andrew, Jonathan, I love it. I love it. Where is it? I lost it. Where'd it go? The integrative healing room. I like that. I like that a lot. The integrative healing room. What do you guys think of that? Do you like the integrative healing room, or do you like Sadhana's healing room, Sadhana's healing space? I'm open to ideas. I'm open to ideas. And of course, it can be changed after the fact, but it's nice if it, Anna's clapping. Ana Beatriz Herrera Gonzalez. Ana, where are you from? Where do you live? I need to look at your picture. I want to look at your picture. Oh, it's you have a very similar name to, so I met a woman from Portugal last time I was in India, and her name is so similar to your name. And when I see your name, I feel like it'd be so cool if she showed up in one of my chats. Moon Chariot, Sadhana's integrative healing room. There we go. We join it all together. Sadhana's integrative healing room. There we go. Anna, really? Haven't you? But Anna, have you been in my live readings though? I'm sure you have. I've seen your name before. I've seen your name somewhere. Maybe in somebody else's chat. I feel like I have. You live in Houston, Texas. Cool. Okay, yeah. So you've been in the live readings. Good to know. Sadhana's integrative healing room. I think that is the winner. I think that's the winner. Oh, I'm so glad I brought this up. I'm writing this down. Sadhana's integrative healing room. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. And I want you to know that I don't know how, like, I know you can do polls and stuff on Facebook as far as like the kind of content that you want and so forth, but I really want to make this group to support all of our healing journeys, and that we can, I don't know, like somehow we can't do everything all at the same time, but I want to cover a lot of different themes and topics that I don't talk about on Facebook, on YouTube. So I'm very excited about this. Yeah. Texas is, I believe, 2 hours different from here. And Jonathan recently became an integrative nutrition health coach. Integrative health. Yeah. It really is, Jonathan, isn't it? Like, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could actually go to the doctor, and then in the room next to the doctor was the massage therapist? And then, do you know that I had the MD that I went to when I was pregnant with my first child did acupuncture. So I would just love it, right? So we could go to the doctor, and the acupuncturist was sharing space with the doctor and the massage therapist. And maybe we could go to, you know, and then the Reiki therapist was there, and it was all covered by insurance. If you have insurance, you know, it's so terrible that our world has not caught up so that these integrative holistic healing practices are not covered by insurance. It's a crime. It really is a crime. I wonder if we could do a tarot reading to predict in what decade or what century that holistic practices would be covered by insurance. Is it this far away? Is it this far away? Do you ever see it happening where you live? I think that's a really good question. Jen's GP does acupuncture. Jonathan says, I want to integrate my acupuncture practice with health coaching, card readings, and guided meditation. Yeah. Yeah. I want to eventually, I would love to have a center where my son is doing nutrition coaching, and he's got a kinesiology degree as well too. My daughter is a massage therapist and an acupuncturist, certified acupuncturist. And then I have another daughter who does things like, she does plant medicine, different kinds of plant medicine, and is very more shamanic in her practices, does cacao ceremonies. And so I would love to have this healing center where my whole family was there. And it's just like, I can see it. I can see it happening. And all my kids love to cook. And so we could like plan these healthy menus, and yeah. But anyway, my previous comment was, how long do you see this ever happening where your health insurance covers holistic practices? And in your country, is acupuncture or let's say acupuncture or Reiki or any kind of spiritual counseling covered by insurance? Yes. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted to. Here we go. Yes, so this is an important thing. And oh, you're a nurse. Well, I know a lot of nurses do touch therapy, and they have training in hands-on healing, but they don't necessarily. They just integrate it as they're working with patients. They don't have to name it as as a separate thing. They're just nursing. It's just part of their nursing training. And so perhaps if we don't name it, then it's acceptable. So one of the things I was told when I was doing my training for hospice was, so one of the things that we were trained in was just massage for the hands. So we did a little bit of touch therapy. And I was told that if I go in and I'm doing touch therapy, just, you don't need to go in and say, you know, I'm doing Reiki. Do you want me to do Reiki on you? Or you don't need to do that kind of language. You just be the energy and allow the energy to move through the room. And just ask people, and not just the people who are dying, but it's more for the family as well too. I mean, Reiki can really help people cross over more quickly, and sometimes that's not what people want, not what families want anyway, but to do hands-on healing to help the emotional and physical trauma that's being stored through the process of death with the families is really important as well too. So hands-on healing for the families and everybody else that's sitting vigil is really, really important. That's so nice, Jen, to hear that in Australia you have that kind of insurance coverage. Hey there, IT guy. We're just winding up. We're just chatting away about all kinds of things. Jonathan says, when I was in summer camp, the nurse used to make me come and give her hand massages. You were 14. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think, you know, some people just have a natural, one of my daughters is like that. She just knows, my youngest one. When I was in my 40s, I had a child, so I still have one young child at home. And she just has a way. She knows how to touch people. And when she touches someone, there's no like, you know, some people like will come up behind you and give you a neck massage and it's like, get your hands off me. They hurt you. She's not like that. She's just has magic hands. And I think that that's a gift, right? That energy is just flows through. Excuse me. So yeah, I think I am going to wind this up. This has been an amazing conversation, and thank you for helping me decide on the name for my Facebook group. And I will get that all lined up and ready for the new moon, which is not too far away. Just looking at where the moon is, it's probably 7-8 days away. Yes, and have the psychologist next to the Reiki practitioner and have everybody all together. What is Jen saying here? Yeah, I've been thinking about this too. It would be really nice to figure out a way to team up and work together. Hello, Saulo. An online healing center. That would be amazing. Yeah. That would be amazing. Okay. Hello, Saulo. Good evening to you. Good evening. All right. Well, this has been a great chat. We've covered delights, deterrents, languages, healing practices. It's been amazing. So thank you all for being here. And let's keep this chat open because there's so many good things that came up from this conversation. And if something arises, please put it in the comments below. And then we can follow up with each other and maybe make some of this a reality, because that would be really beautiful. And within the Facebook group, for sure, I'm going to set up some Zoom meetups where we can drink wine and chat and talk about something. So that'll be so much fun. Thanks very much. Couple more questions. Andrea, you're asking me where I am in the Pacific Northwest. I am, so Vancouver, go to the other side of Vancouver to a place called Horseshoe Bay, hop on a ferry, and then go up the coast. So the British Columbia coast is like this. You can't drive up the coast of BC. You have to hop ferries. And so I'm a little further up the coast in a place called Gibsons, BC. So yeah, so I'm very close to Vancouver. It's a 40-minute ferry ride to get to Vancouver. Yeah. So good night. Thanks. Stay well. Be kind to one another. Namaste.